Do you have trouble concentrating? Do you struggle to get your thoughts together into one cohesive stream of consciousness? Have you tried to meditate and failed? Why not try journaling? Journaling is a free way to gather your thoughts and clear your mind. Ask a doctor if journaling may be right for you. Side effects of journaling may include reduced anxiety and depression, better mental clarity, increased writing skills, sharper memory, and the ability to clearly and accurately remember past events, improved creativity, better mood, reduced stress, encouragement to achieve goals, and good habits. Results may vary.
Hello, my name is Gene and welcome to my channel. This is a channel where I talk about life skills and living with anxiety and depression, and also I will have some random vlogs and travels and things like that. Today's video is about journaling. What is journaling, you may ask? Journaling is the act of recording one's thoughts, feelings, and life events. There is a lot to learn about journaling, especially if you're new to it. Today's video is going to be a high-level overview of journaling, but if there is any area that I touch on today that you would like to learn more about, don't hesitate to leave a comment and let me know, and I'll be glad to explore it in more depth. Today's video is going to cover three main areas. Number one, what journaling is and why you should do it, how to journal, and 3 tips for success, including some bonus tips based on lessons I've learned from doing it wrong. So you'll want to stick around to the end for that. You may be wondering what exactly is journaling and why you should bother with it in the first place. Isn't it just something teenage girls do? Absolutely not. Many influential leaders and thinkers kept journals, including Leonardo da Vinci, Frida Kahlo, Marie Curie, Anne Frank, Mark Twain, Charles Darwin, Emil Davis, Lewis Carroll, Thomas Edison, Ludwig van Beethoven, Albert Einstein, Marcus Aurelius, to name a few. As I mentioned a moment ago, journaling is basically the act of physically or electronically, which I strongly discourage, recording your thoughts, emotions, goals, and life events. I'm not new to journaling. And actually, I've been journaling since I was about 12. I'm not sure what happened to my earlier journals, but right now I only have journals from the year 2000. I've used all different types of journals. I'm not in any way sponsored by them, but right now I'm using these journals by WTF Notes books. My wife got me these for a gift and I absolutely love them. But again, I'm not sponsored by them, but I do really like them. So, initially I started off journaling just to record events and things that happen on a daily basis, and my entries were more like a short bullet point list of what I did and who I did it with. And I'm going to take this hat off, it's getting a little warm. But I later decided that that type of journaling wasn't of much use to me. It might be of use to some, but to me that wasn't of much use. And I decided that it would be much more useful to me if I was writing my thoughts, my goals, my feelings, and other things that were of importance to me. And that way my journals would be of much greater value. Keeping a journal is one of the few good habits that I've been able to maintain long term. There's been some periods of sometimes weeks or even months that I've not written, but generally I've written every day for most of my life. There are many types of journals. Some of the popular types of journals are blank notebook journals, and you can just use like a regular school notebook or one that's made for a journal that's usually higher quality. There are also dream journals, artistic journals, reading journals, daily journals, bullet journals, and as I showed you, the ones that I'm currently using are just notebook type journals, and these have lines But I actually like them either to be lined or to have dots, because otherwise my writing goes up and down hills. The kind of journaling I like to do, I don't like to have any kind of things written in the journal other than I just like it to be blank paper and either lined or dotted. But keeping a daily journal is something that I'm dedicated to and something that I'm passionate about. I generally take a journal everywhere I go so that I can record my thoughts and feelings. It's always one of the first things that I put in my bag or suitcase if I'm taking a trip. I think for me, the greatest benefit of journaling is that it helps to clear my mind, which helps to reduce stress and alleviate some of my anxiety and depression. Journaling in no way replaces a professional mental health person, but it can help to alleviate the stress and help to alleviate the anxiety and depression, and it can definitely be a good tool. But if you're somebody who is depressed or anxious to the point that you need to see a mental health professional, I would say definitely journal, but also go see a mental health professional. A lot of times I'm trying to think about something, and trying to make sense of my thoughts is like trying to grab a handful of smoke. But when I start to dedicate my thoughts to paper, it helps me to parse them out and to make sense of them. And it's through this process that I gain greater introspection and realize what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling that way. Life is easier when we understand our own motivations and emotions better. Now, because of this, journaling is the best way to truly find yourself. Journaling is also one of the safest and healthiest ways to work through your emotions. You can't offend the paper no matter what you write, and when you word vomit in your journal, you can safely work through your emotions, your stress, your anger, your anxiety, your depression, your sadness or frustrations, without unduly burdening your loved ones or coworkers, and without risking offending them or saying something that you can't take back, or something that will hurt them, or something that they will later use against you. Another benefit of keeping a journal, especially if it's a daily journal, is it is an accurate representation of what happened and how we felt about it, so long as we were honest when we were writing the journal. Let's face it, none of our memories are as good as we'd like to think they are, and there have been many times when I've thought about a time in my life and I went back to read my journal entry on the event, and what was written on the paper when the event it's something that I wrote when the events happened, and what was written did not in any way match my memory of the event. And sometimes I've been greatly shocked, but that just goes to show you that my memory is not quite as good as I'd like to think it is, but I can still accurately remember what happened because I wrote it down when it happened. There are a lot of people, especially people like me who suffer from ADHD, who like the idea of meditation, but can't seem to sit still and focus on anything for even 5 minutes. And meditation feels more like a punishment than an aid. But writing in a journal has the benefits of meditation while having the added benefits of doing something instead of just sitting, and it leaves a record for you to look back on later. Writing in a journal also helps to track goals and habits, so you can see how well you've done at keeping up with habits, what you need to work on, and more importantly, so you can see how much you've grown as a person over time. Tracking patterns of growth is an important part of the process of growing, and journaling helps with that. You never know just how far you've come up the mountain if you never look back once in a while. Journaling also helps to promote good habits. Journaling leaves a record of your life. If you die and leave no record, how will anyone know who you were or what you contributed to society? Some of the greatest people in history, the reason we know so much about them is because they kept a journal. Keeping a journal will increase your writing ability as well, which is definitely an important skill to have in life. Even if you're not a really great writer, just writing every day, you'll start to get better. And the good thing about reading in journal, or writing in a journal, like I talked about before, it's just for you, so you don't have to worry about offending anybody. But you also don't have to worry about it being perfect, because unless you want somebody to read it or until after you die, nobody's going to read your journal, and it's just you working out your thoughts. And so you can be honest, and I encourage being honest, and just write whatever you want. For many people, the thought of getting started in journaling is just a bit overwhelming, and it may even introduce a bit of anxiety, but it needn't be complicated or difficult. The first thing you will need is a book of some sort, preferably one you like. Personally, I don't like spiral-bound notebooks because I think the pages tear out too easily, and because my knuckles will hit the spirals when I'm trying to write, and I don't like that. But if they make you happy, go for it. I would strongly recommend using something that's a bit more special though, and not just a plain notebook. But the type of journal you use depends on your goals for journaling, but I would make sure it's something a little bit more fancier than just a school notebook, something that will last longer and something that you'll be happy writing in. The second thing that you'll need is a pen, preferably something that won't smudge and something that can't easily be erased. I've written with mechanical pencils before and I regret it. You can even use color ink, or you can use colored pencils, or whatever you want, but I would just recommend that it's something that doesn't smudge easily and something that's not easily erasable, because that makes it permanent. The third thing that you're going to need is an idea, or something to write about. You don't have to write everything that happens or everything that you think about, and that's why some people get overwhelmed with journaling, is they think they have to write every single thing that happened, but you don't. You just have to write things that are important to you. You can write a little or you can write a lot. Just write things that are important to you. And this is important. Be completely and 100% honest with yourself while writing. It doesn't benefit you at all if you write what you wish had happened or what you think you'll want to read later, as it robs you of the benefit of looking back and seeing just how far you've grown and seeing how far you've come. Also, too, don't stress about it if you don't write every day. It's good to write every day, even if you only just write one line. But if you miss a day or two, don't feel like that is the end of the world and you have to give up. That's part of the reason why I don't like journals that have pre-planned out dates, because then it's obvious if you miss, and it makes you feel bad, or it gives you too much or too little space to write. With a blank one, you can go completely how you want. There really are no rules that you have to follow to journal. Just do what feels right and have fun with it. Journaling should feel more like a fun activity, not a chore. The first tip that I would give is to start now, immediately, today. I would urge you that as soon as this video is over, to find a journal and start using it. I've touched on this a bit, but be honest when you write, and write about anything that's important to you. I have never regretted writing anything down in a journal, but I have 100% regretted not writing things down, because those portions of my life are lost to me forever, and I can't refer back to them in my memory with any great degree of accuracy. But if I had written them down, I could go back and see what had happened, and then I would have an accurate representation of those events in my life. I would highly recommend using either a lined journal or a journal that has dots in it, so that your writing will look neater and that your writing doesn't travel up and downhill on the page. I would absolutely steer clear of any paper with pictures of any kind on the page. I've had journals with pictures on the page and you have to write around the pictures and it gives you less space and it's just annoying. I'd steer clear of that. I also mentioned this before, but I would highly recommend using a nice, high-quality journal and not some cheap notebook. I've used cheap notebooks and written in them with mechanical pencils, and I regret it. You can use whatever type of pen you like, but I always use a fountain pen and not a cheap pen, because one reason I really enjoy fountain pens, I enjoy the ritual of filling the pen up, I enjoy the way it writes, I enjoy that it's consistent, that the entire journal is the same ink and the same line size all the way through. I started using it exclusively about 10 years ago or so. And now I will only write in a journal with a fountain pen. But, you can write with anything you want, but I would highly recommend it. You write with a nice pen. I'd say even get a special pen just for your journal. Something you like, the way it feels, the way it writes. One of the beautiful things about a journal is that it's sort of a permanent record of your life. One that's not easily editable. And in fact, I would share that it's not editable, and I would as it makes for a more true record. If you can just go back and change it at any time, that's not good. So I have at times been tempted to remove parts of my journal, as it was about a time in my life when I wasn't overly proud of, but I'm glad that I wrote about it, and I'm glad that I kept it because it shows me how much I've grown. Until journaling becomes a habit, I would recommend setting aside a specific time to write every day. Perhaps even set a reminder in your phone. And it may even help to set the mood. Maybe light a candle that you like. Turn on some music that won't distract you but might get you in a creative space. I've hit on this point a few times already, but I can't stress it enough. Be honest with yourself when you're writing. And even if you don't think so now, you will be grateful that you did in the future. Writing honestly makes it so that you can look back and see who you were in that moment, and you can appreciate how much you've grown as a person. Also, if you're unsure about what to write, you may start off by using some journal writing prompts. You can Google some journal writing prompts online, and you can write them down, cut them out, put them in a jar, and just randomly pick one, and that's what you write about that day. And this is something that I just started incorporating into my journals, and that is to write 3 goals in the morning and then 3 wins in the evening. So your 3 goals might be to make this video, to clean the cat box, and to make the stuff that I have to ship on Etsy. And then the 3 wins would be 3 things that happened that day. Like it could be anything, like I managed my anxiety really well today, or I got the video finished, or whatever. 3 wins that day. And then 3 items that you're grateful for that day. So, and the reason I do this, it helps me to feel good about the day, even if it wasn't the most productive day I've had. It gives you something to look back on and say, hey, you know what? I might not have been the greatest day, but I still had something good about it. It was a good day. Earlier, I mentioned that I would highly recommend steering clear of electronically recording a journal, and now I'll tell you why. So I've made a few journal entries on the computer, and I regret the decision. I've had some of them that were lost because a file got corrupted, which is one big issue. But also, when I wrote the entries, I was honest, but a month or so later, I was embarrassed about what I wrote. I went back and tampered with it. I tempered what I said. I made it less offensive to me. And now what I originally wrote is lost forever. And when you write on a computer, you risk losing the entries as well. You may even forget that they're on the computer. And so when making the documentary about Steve Jobs, they tried to get some earlier writings of Steve Jobs off of an early Mac, and they couldn't do it. But they could easily read his handwritten notes and his journals and base the documentary on that. I have now printed all of my journal entries that were on the computer so that they're no longer editable. And then I deleted the copies on my computer, and I just placed the printed copies in one of my journals. The second bonus tip is to use good paper. Something that doesn't tear easily, but something that's easy to write on, and something that has a good contrast between the ink you're using and the page. And the third bonus tip is that I would say use good ink, something that doesn't smudge, and if possible, get archival quality ink. I have used cheaper ink and then got a little bit of water on the journal, and parts of the journal were lost. It can't recreate it. I don't know what it says. And so it's just better if you use good ink. And in the grand scheme of things, good ink really doesn't cost that much more. So it's just worth it. There's so much more to talk about as far as journaling goes. I think I could talk about journaling all day. But I think I've got to end the video here. So if you have any questions about journaling, or if you have some special tips, I would like to chat with you. So leave a comment down below. Also, if this video has been of any use to you, I would greatly appreciate it if you would take a second and click the like button. And if you know anybody else who would enjoy this video, share it with them. If you enjoy this type of content, or if it was of any benefit to you, I would also go ahead and smash that subscribe button 2022 style. Good luck on journaling, and let me know how it goes.